All right, welcome. Here we are. It's a Wednesday afternoon at noon. I'm Pugs Moran. Pugs Moran live here, the noon show, featuring all of your comments and all of that off of the chat rooms. You can join us for any of the things we're going to be discussing here in the next couple of hours. You see right there at the bottom of your page, you've got the Facebook page, the Twitter page, the YouTube page. And again, I'll address this. And for those of you who've been here every single day along the whole haul, you'll hear me say this a lot. The YouTube page is a difficult find. If you're looking to watch this show on the YouTube page, I really had no idea that the pug dog breed was as popular. Apparently, because there are hundreds of pug dog shows. So we've created a little thing for you. It's a cheat, little link, hot link, I guess, I don't know, whatever you'd call it. You can just go on the web, pugscast.com. If you want to watch on YouTube, pugscast.com. You can, and that'll take you directly to the YouTube page. So what we do here on this show, and we do a second show. I'll tell you what that is about as well. What we do here on this show is we just try and bring you up to speed with all the things that are trending, all the water cooler conversations that are had or out there to be had. Maybe it's in the lunch hour here. You're sitting in your car. I have an image of some guy or some girl, walking out of the office at noon on their lunch break. They're sitting in their car and they're spilling stuff. And that's sort of the image that I have for this. And I don't really want to bog this down with, time passers. In radio, time passers, I always considered to be just interviews that were booked just to be booked, and that happens a lot. You want to throw a PR person a favor or two. So you talk to someone about a book. Yeah, you're making one person happy, but you're pissing off everybody else in the audience. So, for me, what I always liked and enjoyed about talk radio before it was destroyed by partisan politics, what I always liked and enjoyed about talk radio was just hearing the individual who I was interested in hearing from talk about things. It was always a bummer to me. If you grown up listening to maybe team radio or whatever it was, maybe you grew up listening to me and Kelly in our little team radio thing here in the Dallas-Fort Worth area. I always got upset when, they had to interview somebody, unless it was somebody that was really cool and a great, interview. Because, the appeal of those kinds of shows for me was always just hearing the two people that I like talk to each other about things that are happening. So that's kind of what we're trying to do here with the noon show, except I'm just talking to myself. It's a good thing I got a split personality because, this would be really hard for me to do if I was just one guy in here. But luckily for us, I'm about 15 different guys in here all screaming at each other at once. So, and that is not to say that at some point in the future, I do want to bring people in on this. We have the capability to do split screens. We have the capability to do a couple of different boxes. So at some point, and again, I keep saying this is only the first week of us doing these daily shows at noon and then another show at night at 10 p.m. So we've built out the studio here. We're still getting equipment. Hey, and look, I haven't lied to you. Once. You guys that were with us in the first couple of nights, man, you sat through some really difficult technical times as we figured out, all of the wonky little tweaks and twerks that we needed to do to make this work. And I kept saying, look, it'll get better. I promise it'll get better. We've got equipment coming every day, every single day. Some new piece of equipment shows up from Amazon. I swear the neighbors probably think we're running an Amazon distribution center because there are just Amazon truck after Amazon. They're getting another package. It's going, ooh, that's a big one. Ooh, that's gonna take a couple of people to carry that one. So, it's a piece by piece kind of operation. We're doing this without any support. This is 100% the effort of three people, and that is Emil and Ed Silla of RadioMisfits.com. And, I'd include myself in that. But honestly, really, my whole job is I have the easy one. My job is to just sit here and let people build things around me. Like, oh, what's this new toy that you're going to let me play with and try and get my career back? Oh, thank you. My goodness. The appreciation that I have, not just for those two individuals, but to you guys, it's just, I can't, I don't know how. Very touched. Also, this may not, again, this may sound like some form of humble brag, but I don't mean it that way. I just mean it as a way to let you know how sincere I am in all of this. I've only been back on the air for like 4 days. I've had a number of people in this market who I admire, who I respect, who I am a fan of, who have just reached out and just said, "Hey, man, good to hear you back." That's it. Hey, let's get together. Let's grab a cup of coffee. There's a phenomena that I have to acknowledge that I must be uniquely blessed to have. It's not, maybe not uniquely, but it's not something that everybody gets to experience. And it's when somebody that you admire, somebody that you respect, somebody that you like returns that, like unsolicited, they just return that. Oh man, that's nice. So I can't tell you how appreciative I am of all of this. And if you were listening last night, just a little bit of update here on what we've got going. We do a show here every day at noon, Monday through Friday. This is, as I say, this is the utilitarian aspect of what I'm trying to do. This is going to be less silliness and just more really talking about things. We're trying to really just talk about issues, whatever's trending, whatever people are talking about, whatever you're interested. We'll also do some local stories. This is, for the most part, an attempt to do local DFW talk radio on the internet, on the social platforms, on YouTube, on Facebook. And this is just in response to the fact that I don't believe that the talk radio industry has served the community the way that they are pledged to do. I think that they've been incredibly irresponsible over the past 30, 40 years, especially not so much in music. I mean, we all have our issues with radio stations and music. They don't play what I like. They only play that. They changed formats. That we've always had those issues with music radio. But talk radio is singularly reprehensible, and I think the way that they've upheld their duty to serve the community. We okay, Ed? Ed just walked in. Ed Silla, ladies and gentlemen.
How you doing?
It's fine. Oh, I didn't put the light on? Oh, there we go. Now everybody can see exactly how hideous I am. Oh, okay. So talk radio is, if you were familiar with the show that my wildly talented partner Kelly and I used to do, you'll know that our show was a daily, little conversation around some coffee between two people just gabbing it up. And although, when you're going to sit somewhere and just start spewing out information and stuff like that, your opinions, your hot takes, you're gonna offend some people. So it's not to say that we weren't ever provocative. We were, and we were in a format that sort of instructed us to do certain things that maybe we wouldn't otherwise naturally do. The whole shock jock era, we were corrupted a bit. But at least in that format, we were allowed to just, not only be married to one side, which is what I think talk radio has done over the past 30 years. At some point, I believe that talk radio made a calculation that the only people they wanted listening were 50-year-old angry men in the suburbs. And that's when I really started to lose interest in the business of talk radio. And when I left, there were opportunities. There were opportunities for both Kelly and myself, and there were opportunities for me alone. And I'm sure there were opportunities for Kelly herself. She can speak to, why actually she had bigger fish to fry. She got married. She had a couple of kids. She's got beautiful babies now, and they're not even babies. They're older. So, maybe she doesn't have the same sort of track that I was on, but I was pretty bad for a number of years. I was very, imagine being in your early 40s or mid 40s and then realizing that, the industry that you have pledged your entire life to since being a 10-year-old listening to Steve Dahl and Gary Meyer in Chicago, and then suddenly have that pulled out from under you. And it's hard to learn new skills. So after a long time away from the game, this is my attempt to come back and just do it the way I would prefer to do it, as opposed to the way some program director who, thinks, well, that doesn't appeal to a 55-year-old white man on his way to the golf course. I don't think I appeal to a 55-year-old white man on his way to the golf course. I mean, I have plenty of friends who are 50-year-old white men who often, make their way to the golf course. But that doesn't mean that's the only people I want to talk to. So that's what this is. This is just going to be a kind of, we're gonna look at all of the things that are going on in the world, and we're going to discuss them here at noon. Yes, and also we do this every day at noon, and then we do another show at 10 o'clock. And the programming note that I want to keep hammering home is, we've made a decision. Last night, I sort of floated it, and I said, what do you think? Should we do it this way or that way? And the truth of the matter is I had already made up my mind. So I didn't. But I am pleased to announce that we seem to all be of the same mind. And that is that the night show, the show that airs at 10 p.m. Central Standard Time, which is more of a freeform show. That's more of a fun show, more of a let your hair down, relax before we climb into bed kind of show. That show is now going to air Sunday nights at 10 o'clock through Thursday nights at 10 o'clock. So just a little, so if you listen to a Friday noon show, there will not be a Friday night show. But you go the weekend and you come back, we rally after football or whatever it is that we're going to do, and we talk it all out here on Sunday nights. That might be, I think, and again, just sort of streaming out loud here, because that's one of the cornerstones of the way I broadcast, which is also probably a reason why I don't have a job. I could never hit commercials on time now. After doing 2 hours straight of just blah, 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 oh God, any discipline I had, and it was very little to begin with, broadcast discipline, that's gone. Oh, and that's the other thing. I'm using devices because I need to calm down when we do these shows. I'm so nervous. It doesn't matter that I've been doing this in some way, shape, or form since 1992. This is difficult. And another reason why I appreciate you guys hanging with me. But my devices are at night. At night is for a cocktail, one cocktail. Nothing worse than, when the jocks used to get sloppy drunk on the air. It was fun for a while, and then it just got, oh my God, why won't he shut up? Well, so during the day, it's going to be my coffee. Oh, look at that, branded. That'll probably be a problem at some point. But it's not Starbucks coffee. Does that matter? You know what it is? It's the Kroger. It's the cheapest Kroger brand of coffee in the big tub, and it's the donut shop blend. So if anybody ever wanted to buy me a cup of coffee, that's actually my favorite coffee. And it's not necessarily because of the cheapness, that it's like a buck or two cheaper than the other name brands. It's that I actually like it better. It's good. The donut shop blend. I have no idea what these blends of coffee are, but this one is actually one that I enjoy. All right, so we'll get into it. And as I say, as we right now, you can see behind me, we got nothing but a white wall, and we literally, are going to be dressing up. The window dressing of this show is yet to come. So please be kind to me on Room Raider. It's the first week here. I know there's nothing but a white wall behind me. We're going to get some really cool stuff. We're going to get some. We've got an idea for what we want to do there. And also, we're gonna have more production and all of that. But unfortunately, I am. I used to be really good at production. I used to be excellent, man. If I do say so myself. I mean, there were people that were better, the people that I learned from who were just incredible at it. But man, I learned from the best. And if you give me a razor blade and a reel-to-reel and a grease pen, I can cut you up. But all of this digital stuff, I never really learned. And that was because when the digital era of production and editing came in, I guess I had already become fat and happy and was surrounded by producers who could learn all the new stuff so that I could just focus on my art. Right? Yeah. Okay, so let's get into it. Let's talk about what's trending. What is everybody getting into on this Tuesday? It never fails. The minute I get on the air, the minute we hit go live, Cottonmouth. Ugh, it's brutal. All right, so the first story that is trending, and this is trending at some point today, was trending across all platforms, and it's still trending number one here in the last 24 hours on what are these? We're doing the real time trends. Nirvana, Nevermind is in the news now. If you are a Gen Xer, and on tonight's show at 10 o'clock, we're going to talk about the different cohorts. We're going to talk about, I touched a little bit in previous shows about my feelings towards millennials and how I believe that millennials, they're not the real reason that we're in all this trouble. But boy, they ain't helping. The millennials who are now in their 30s, maybe 40, they're just not helping with this big mess. And I had always been a millennial defender. When they were kids, it wasn't about their music, it wasn't about their video games, it was about us. It was about the people who raised the millennials. As I said last night on the 10 o'clock show, everybody likes to boil it down to the easiest, the lowest hanging fruit. So it's on millennials with their participation trophies. What were they thinking? Well, they weren't thinking at all. They were 8 years old and they were just going to a football banquet at the end of the year. You, me, we, Gen X, later boomers, we're the ones who came up with the idea of bullshit like the participation trophies and the helicopter moms and, all of that kind of stuff. We created an entire generation who believed that they were the center of the universe, and we never gave them an exit strategy for that. They were the center of the universe until they were 18 years old, and then they came out in the real world, and they still thought they were the center of the universe, and this is why we have some issues with the millennials getting on the social bandwagon. So Nirvana is probably, would you say, I would have to say, probably the most impactful album of the Generation X. It certainly ushered in a whole new kind of music. I'll put it to you this way. When Nirvana Nevermind was released back in 92, maybe, I don't know, somewhere back in those. When Nirvana Nevermind was first released, it shattered the world as far as the music loving world, and certainly the demographic that it was going after, which were at that point people in their early 20s, the slackers, that's the other thing. The millennial generation does not have the market cornered on being disregarded and marginalized. That may have been done even to the boomers. I don't know. My memory doesn't go back. But certainly we, the members of Generation X, we were considered, the failed generation. We were considered I'll go in more into detail about all of this tonight at 10 o'clock. But we were the slackers. We were the good for nothings. We were the layabouts. We were the generation. You see, now I'm starting to get into this whole generation rant, and I don't want to. But to put it mildly, the millennials were not the first generation to be screwed over. We were treated pretty poorly too back in the day, and that may be something common to every cohort as they emerge into the greater population, the workforce, stuff like that. But Nirvana Nevermind, when that was released, we had come out of. Again, there are ways to look this up, but it was like there was Ace of Base. I saw the sign and it opened up my mind. I saw. Every program director I've ever worked for said, "Don't sing." And I'm like, well, why are you crushing my joy, bro? Why are you crushing my joy? You're stifling down the inner fire that brings life and love to. Yeah, so I'm gonna sing on my own show because I don't care. But it was Michael Jackson, maybe even New Kids on the Block. They may have came a little bit later. I'm not entirely sure. But when Nirvana, when Smells Like Teen Spirit, when that opening guitar riff came on your radio station, if you were my age or anything like that, you went, oh no, this is different. Okay, I'm going to listen to this. It was a phenomena. It really was. I mean, I can remember, being in my prime bar going days back then. And actually back then I was managing bands. I was working with bands and I was getting them booked in bars and doing all that stuff that we used to do. Uh, this was even before, just prior to me getting into radio. And I can remember I heard that song and I was pretty up on music. I probably heard that song about the time that most of the first wave of music freaks heard Smells Like Teen Spirit. I heard that song like the day I heard it. I remember going to a bar to see some bar band that we really liked. And this band ripped into Smells Like Teen Spirit. I remember thinking, did they learn this in an afternoon? I mean, it doesn't sound like that difficult of a song to pull off, but did they learn this? Because I just heard this song for the first time. And the absolute pandemonium for months. Whenever you would go into a bar and a band would play Smells Like Teen Spirit, it was huge. It really did. It changed music. And it's why, people say the band's overrated. Well, the band was cut short, Kurt Cobain killed himself. So there's always going to be a romanticization. Yeah, that's when I listen back, that's going to drive me nuts. We romanticize things that alter our perspective, especially in our formative years of the early 20s. And that's kind of what Nirvana did for people. So I always resist when people say, that was overrated. No, they really weren't overrated. Maybe you're just not familiar with the impact that it had on the music industry, on all of that stuff. I mean, Pearl Jam came and then you had Alice in Chains, you had Soundgarden, and then suddenly, because of those opening riffs to Nirvana's Smells Like Teen Spirit, there was an entire new genre of music, the grunge rock. There was an entire new music format. Alt music, alternative came in. Why? Because it wasn't Ace of Base. Because pop music and the stuff the kids were listening to was Ace of Base. It was Michael Jackson's, lesser Thriller work. It was, maybe even boy bands at some point. So Nirvana Nevermind is an incredibly, incredibly important album. Maybe not to your generation, but certainly to mine. And we'll get more into the generational talk tonight at 10 o'clock on Pugs Moran Live, the Pillow Talk edition. So why is Nirvana Nevermind trending? Well, another aspect to the legend of Nirvana is the iconic album cover, right? Close your eyes right now and just think of the album cover for Nevermind. It was visually stunning. It was such a cool shot. It was a baby, I believe 4 months old at the time, a baby in a pool, like underwater, and the baby was chasing a dollar bill. I mean, that singular photo kind of summed up the attitude of the entire generation. A baby from birth chasing a dollar. And that's sort of what Nirvana represented. They weren't polished. They didn't, they didn't wear makeup. They didn't tease their hair. And I should explain, that's where guitar rock had been. Just prior to Nirvana, there had been, the Sunset Strip era of rock and roll. The Motley Crues, the Poisons, the Warrants, where it was like just these men wearing makeup and just being as flamboyant as possible. Well, Nirvana made a hard right on that, and they just showed up in torn blue jeans and flannel shirts. Why flannel shirts? Because they're from Seattle. They're from the Pacific Northwest. That's sort of what everybody wears up there because of the rain and the cold. You wear flannel shirts up there. It's a lumberjack thing. It's a regional sort of fashion thing. And it became suddenly everybody's walking around in flannel shirts. People in Texas in 100 degrees of August are walking around in flannel shirts. I mean, that's influence. And again, like I said, it influenced an entire new kind of music. But that baby, the photo picture from Nevermind was just, what is art? Who knows? Who knows what art is? But if something that didn't exist, if something doesn't exist, and then suddenly out of someone's mind it does exist, that's art. I have a very wide breadth of what I believe art to be. But now important art is something that does all of those things and really kind of hits you. You can't take your eyes off it. And I can't take my eyes off the cover. I'm looking at it right now. Maybe you can pull it up as well. Again, we don't have the full capability to be able to share things like that. I mean, we do. We're just working out the bugs on how to present these sorts of things to you. But I'm sitting here, I'm looking at this album cover. Let's see here. It's a baby, and he's underwater. He's got his arms spread out, like this. He's under the water, and he seems to be reaching out to grasp a $20 bill that is on a fishhook. It's like he's chasing from birth. We're chasing the almighty dollar. But now there's a problem with it, because there is another aspect of this picture that I probably drunkenly made a joke about it at some point among friends, and I'm sure other people noticed it. But the fact that the baby is naked, that never had any effect on me. It shouldn't have had any effect on you. It's a baby. It's a beautiful baby. Babies aren't sexy. I mean, babies aren't. And if they are sexy, that's on you. That's a you thing. Don't blame. Nobody should look at the album cover of Nirvana's Nevermind and think that it's child porn. And that's what's going on. That's why it's trending, because the baby on the cover of the Nirvana Nevermind album, who, I don't know what he's fishing for, but his name is Spencer Eldon, and he's now 30 years old. Wow, 30 years old. That baby is 30 years old. Oh my God, I've been getting drunk and falling down longer than that kid's been on the planet. That is crazy. All right, so let me bring you up to speed here. The cover of Nevermind, 1991. Okay, 1991. 1991 Nirvana album that is said to have helped redefine the rock music. Oh, they must have been listening, because I just said that. Features a naked 4-month-old baby in a pool appearing to swim after a dollar bill. Okay, that's just poor journalism. They were obviously not looking at it's not a dollar bill, it's a $20 bill on a fishhook. That baby, the now 30-year-old Spencer Eldon, is suing Nirvana for child exploitation and pornography, saying the band knowingly distributed the naked photo as a baby and profited from it. Yeah, they profited from it. They did. Exploitation. Yeah, well, I mean, they used the baby's image, and they profited from it. So, okay, I can see that. But it's the second half of this that just turns my stomach. It makes me sick on so many different levels. Pornography? That's pornography to who? Child pornographers? Pedophiles? Who is this pornography? What are we talking about here? I don't know how any sensible, normal, well-adjusted human being sees that and gets anything sexual out of it. And again, if that's what you're getting, that's on you, folks. He is asking for, all right, here's what he wants. Here's what's going to make it all better. He's been completely traumatized his entire life because, he was sexually exploited as a child. And so what's going to make it all better is $150,000 from each member. Not each member of the band, Nirvana. The band Nirvana themselves have to chip in and scratch together somehow $150,000. I have no idea how Kurt Cobain's estate and Dave Grohl of the Foo Fighters are ever going to scratch together their portion of $150 nut. But boy, here's hoping. They're suing the record company. Here, I'll just read it exactly. He's asking for $150,000 in damages from each of the defendants, and those defendants are members of the band. Oh, wait a second. No, this is more. Okay, so maybe it is. He's asking for $150,000 from each guy. All right, well, Dave Grohl is fine, and the Nirvana estate, Kurt's estate, is going to be fine. But are we worried about Chris? Are we worried about Novoselic being able to come up with that money? I don't know what he's doing. He's sort of been the he's the quiet Nirvana. Okay, so Here's what they're looking for. They're looking for 150 grand from each member of the band. They want 150 grand from Kurt Cobain's estate. So is that a double up? Like, does the ghost of Kurt have to come up with 150 ghost dollars? Maybe he'll use Bitcoin, I'm sure. And then the estate. So Lil Francis Bean and Courtney, they got to cobble together 150 grand. Again, here's hoping they have that money. And then they want, let's see here, the photographer, a guy by the name of Kurt Weddle, who I don't know who that is. I don't. I mean, I know who he is now. I certainly am familiar with his work, but it's not like he's Annie Leibovitz or anything like that. He's not a name that I'm familiar with, and maybe he is. Maybe that's just my shortcoming. But they're suing the photographer. They're suing Universal Music, they're suing Geffen Records, and they're suing Warner Records and MCA Music. So do the math if you want. If you're in the chat room, go ahead, help yourself do the math. I really don't want to expel that many brain whatever cells. It's the cottonmouth thing again. The cover photo was shot by Weddle. He's the photographer. And, this is actually interesting. This is a little backstory on this. The cover photo was shot by Weddle, who was a friend of Eldon's father. The lawsuit accuses Weddle of producing a sexually graphic photo of Eldon. It adds that there was initial pushback against featuring Eldon's genitals on the album cover, and the plan was to place a sticker over it. I wonder if that was awkward. I wonder if they laid the choices for they take a bunch of pictures and they lay them all out on a table, and then a group of people get together, and then somebody goes, "Look at the dick! Look, whoa." That's the suspect, right? That's the guy that you got to be like, why did you go to that right away? Why weren't you struck by the message of the photo? Why weren't you just, first of all, it's a beautiful photo. I mean, it's the coloring and it's just beautiful. It's aesthetically a really cool photo. And then there's a message in that photo. And then, what is it? He's chasing $1. Is that $1? It's a $20. There's a whole bunch of things that you got to get through before you get to the fact that it's a baby. Because, babies are naked. And the water probably symbolized, the birth process and that whole thing. Maybe it was a water birth. People were doing weird stuff like that back then. Still are, I have to imagine. But to, think that that's an issue. I mean, if I was in the room, I'd have gone, go stand outside. That's enough. There are no bad questions, but there certainly are bad observations. Get the hell out of here. That we'll. Aren't you just the driver? Aren't you just the guy that drives us around? Why are you looking at this baby's penis? That is, so this whole argument being waged by this kid, Spencer Eldon, is a little bit troubling to me. So originally what they were going to do with the picture was they said that there was an intention to put a sticker over the genital. The sticker, however, was never incorporated into the album cover, the lawsuit states. Eldon's parents, so this is the parents of the kid who gave the photographer permission to dunk their 4-month-old baby in a swimming pool, put him underwater, and make him chase $1. That's the other aspect of this. What mother with a 4-month-old baby is going to be like, the husband comes home and he's like, hey, my friend, the photographer? Yeah. He's not sketchy. He's not sketchy. You hate all my friends. You're always talking shit on all my friends. It probably went down like that. But what mother is going to allow some sketchy photographer friend? Side note. A lot of photographers are a little sketchy. A lot of pervs just get cameras and then call themselves photographers. So, moms, be on point for this kind of stuff in the future. But the parents allowed the image to take place. The parents back then, they let it happen. And I have to imagine, okay, so the kid's mom and dad were friends with the photographer. The photographer was probably friends with the band. the photographer, because that's how these things happen. When you're a local band and you're, struggling and suddenly you get an album deal and they start putting money behind you, you probably give your friends jobs, especially if you think that they have some artistic merit. And this photographer, certainly in my estimation, has artistic merit. They give him work. So, I mean, I don't believe that this photographer was somebody hired by no, it wasn't. We know it was a friend of the kid's dad. So anyway, it just seems like it was all above board from the beginning. I mean, sketchy that the mom would allow this to happen, sketchy that the dad would allow this to happen, but more so for the mom. We talked about that last night at the 10 o'clock show. Moms, step up. You got to save us. The moms of America got to save us. More on that later. So Eldon's parents also never signed a release authorizing the use of the image, and Eldon himself never received any compensation, the lawsuit says. Well, I mean, no monetary compensation, but I mean, we're talking about a guy who has one of the coolest fun facts about himself of anybody. Although, how do you prove that, right? I mean, I'm sure this guy has been in bars, meeting girls or what, maybe guys. I don't know what his orientation is, but I'm sure he's been out in the world and he has used that to his advantage. Of course he has. Of course he has. At high school and in college or wherever it was that he did with his life, he at some point bragged about the fact that he's the baby on the Nirvana cover. I mean, I'm only speculating here. Maybe it really did traumatize him. I don't think that it probably did. But, at some point in his life, it was cool that he was that baby. I'm absolutely certain of it. It's interesting that the parents didn't sign a release. However, the way I'm working this out in my mind is the way I sort of just broke it down. The photographer was a friend of the dad. The photographer was probably hooked in with the band. This was in the early 90s. This was their breakthrough album. They weren't big rock stars. So they were still, the guys that go to rock clubs 5 nights a week, 6 nights a week, whatever it is. They're doing drugs, they're drinking to excess because, it's the slacker generation and the whole world's going to hell. And what are we trying for? Which is also the whole vibe of Nirvana. I mean, even the name, never mind. We'd like to make the world a better place. God, why did the boomers screw it up so bad? What can we do about it? Never mind. Never mind. I mean, that was the whole vibe. That was the entire point of it. So, what do we do here? They didn't sign a release. Okay. So, in the eyes of, I guess, the legal world, that could be a problem. The kid didn't get paid. Well, what did his parents get anything out of it? I mean, I don't know. I don't know if maybe at the time, I'll give you $500 cash. You just let me do that. Okay, well, that's a payment. Did they shake hands? I guess that's in some circles considered some form of a deal, but it is problematic. There are issues here that mean that, the people involved might just give this dude some money just to make this go away. But it is ridiculous. His claim that Nirvana, the photographer, the record companies, and all of that, the claim that they somehow, I don't know, participated in the creation of child porn, that's far-fetched. That's really putting a stink on a whole bunch of people who probably don't deserve to be carrying that stink, right? That photographer is a child pornographer now. And again, to who? I mean, are we saying that this is something? I don't know who thinks it's child pornography. That's the problem. I'm swimming with it. I'm a father of a baby. He was a baby. Now he's older. How is a baby sexual? That just always blows my mind. But maybe that's probably a good thing that I don't understand that. The issue of compensation, though. I think he deserves something. I mean, I really do. I really do. If he was never paid and he is, the subject of this tremendous, in my estimation, piece of art, then he should have been given something. I mean, I would think that smart minds before all the, I would also like to have thought that on some level, maybe this guy, Spencer Eldon, has stayed in touch with the members of the band. I mean, Dave Grohl seems like one of the coolest individuals on the planet. And by all reports, he is a nice, cool guy. They're not Facebook friends. Yeah, he couldn't have slid into his DMs and said, hey, man, before this got to this point, Dave Grohl wouldn't have gone, you know what, brother? I think you're right. I think you deserve a little something. Here, let me rip you off a check for $1 million. I want more. Well, how much does he deserve? I would honestly, to make this whole thing go away, just give the kid $1 million. He's being I almost said he's being a dick. He's being a jerk about all of this. This has gone way too far into the public arena where you got some guy in Dallas, Fort Worth sitting on a leather chair in a guest house screaming about, that's ridiculous. Spencer goes on to say, quite a few people in the world have seen my penis. So that's kind of cool. I'm just a normal kid living it up and doing the best I can while I'm here. So I'm guessing that was sarcastic. Quite a few people in the world have seen my penis. So that's kind of cool. Let's see here. Robert Lewis is Eldon's attorney. He writes in the lawsuit that Lewis has experienced emotional distress and interference with emotional and educational development. The picture of, him and his baby penis is only a problem if he still has a baby penis. Then I can see how it might be a little bit. But Eldon, I'm hoping to gods that, people haven't seen your penis. People saw that little thing that was attached to you when you were 4 months old, but I don't think people have seen your penis. I don't think I could pick your current penis out of a penis lineup, if that's a thing. I bet it is. I bet it is on OnlyFans, and we'll talk about that too. All right, so that's trending there. Nirvana's Nevermind. That's apparently going to be child porn now. Let's see what else is going on. That's the number one thing in America. We got the New England Patriots. Apparently, they're involved in some deals. We don't want to do that. Number 3. No, well, this is going to catch my eye. Here comes Honey Boo Boo, trending number 3 in America for a couple of reasons. It looks like here. Honey Boo Boo is trending multiple times. Whether it's Alana Honey Boo Boo Thompson. Is that the mom? I don't even know who. No, it's never seen the show. It's Mama June, right? All right, so Alana is Honey Boo Boo? Okay. Well, since they're trending all over the place after having not really been in the center of our attention for a while, that just tells me that they recently got some new PR. They recently got a new rep, and they're just flooding today's timelines with Honey Boo Boo stories. The first one is, let's just figure it out, because I am prepared for her. Oh, she's 16 years old. Honey Boo Boo is now 16 years old. She's, she looks like a 16-year-old Honey Boo Boo. Yeah, she's got to have a lot of money, right? I don't think they have as much money as, maybe we middle-class everyday workers think, because, they were like trailer park people, right? And like some big Hollywood television people came in and picked them out and gave them a couple of bucks, and they probably didn't know that couple of bucks was certainly not requisite with what the Hollywood people were going to be making. So I bet they were kept just comfortable enough to not want to lose the gig. And that's what happens with a lot of these reality show people. They don't give them a whole lot of money until they become a phenomena, and then they can write their own ticket. But these essentially talentless individuals who are put on TV for us to watch, and as I said before, they're put on TV for us to feel better about. The Honey Boo Boo family was not put on TV so that people would watch the great American family unfold in front of our eyes. That was not the purpose. The purpose was a bunch of Hollywood people were brainstorming how they could get the flyover states to watch, and they said, let's put ridiculous people on TV. Here's how this is going to work. If we put just the most reprehensible individuals on TV, people who are just really they're not killing it in life, then other people who also feel a little bit insecure about how they're doing in life, they're going to feel better about themselves. And that's what I believe is the formula here for these kinds of shows, whether it's your 400-Pound Life, the Jerry Springer Show, any of these. I'm trying to think of what else is out there in this. Anyway, it's a ridiculous. I'm not a fan of this genre, as you know. So okay, so let's look at this one now. Let's see what's going on here, because Honey Boo Boo is in the news because she's 16 years old and apparently she did a fashion shoot for Vogue or something like that. And Gad love her, right? Hold on, but Mama June is also trending, and Mama June is trending here as I pull this up. Okay, so Alana Honey Boo Boo Thompson opens up about body shaming and not having friends. You know what? Alana Thompson, who rose to fame in the TLC Toddlers and Tiaras. Oh, she was a breakout. I didn't know that. I was, because Toddlers and Tiaras. What is that? Is it like a John Benet Ramsey kind of a thing? Was that one of those child beauty pageant things where from an early age we teach our kids that the only thing is important is how you look in a mirror? Is that what that is? So I think Toddlers and Tiaras was one of those kinds of shows. And then apparently Honey Boo Boo was a breakout. She was, observation. Over the course of my life, I've known a lot of people who have had their children in these beauty pageants, from the age of like 5 years old. Not a number of people, and certainly none that are friends of mine, because I don't think that I could have much in common with someone who would think that's a good idea to do to their 5-year-old. But hot take coming. Inevitably, whenever somebody says, "Oh yes, little Dee Dee is competing in the Midwest regional," and it's always at some funky hotel out near some airport in Des Moines, Iowa, or something, is competing for her third crown, and then kids are kids; they're not fully formed yet. But you look at the kid and you go, "That kid's winning beauty pageants? Really? Like." With all due respect and no intention at all to image shame or I guess body shaming, which is Honey Boo Boo's problem. I don't think that Honey Boo Boo was cute. She was a cute little kid, she had spunk. She had that little twang that, people on the coasts love and would tune in for. But I never, I didn't look at her as a 6-year-old and go, that girl is going to become Miss America. I mean, I didn't. I didn't. Sorry. But that seems to be a very common thing in these child beauty pageants where parents are just a little bit delusional. And hey, look, parents, it's wonderful that you think your child is special. And it is wonderful that you think your child is beautiful. You should. You should. You're not supposed to be objective about that. You're supposed to, but you're also not supposed to be delusional in what your child's eventual capabilities are going to be. So Alana Thompson, who rose to fame on TLC's Toddlers and Tiaras as Honey Boo Boo, wants everyone to know that she's no longer the child that she's remembered as by some fans. No, you're a 16-year-old girl. God bless you, man. You're a 16-year-old kid. I really hope that all of these things that your parents, your mom, or whomever foisted upon you at an age where you had absolutely no, it's like the participation trophies. That all the kids that got participation trophies, they didn't come up with the idea to give all the kids participation trophies. These were the parents. These weren't the millennials. These were the parents. And it's the same thing here. This girl did nothing wrong. I can remember, and I probably did as well. As I've said, back in my earlier broadcast career in the shock genre, I probably at some point made fun of a 6-year-old kid, a grown-ass man. I probably sat on the radio and made fun of a 6-year-old kid because I thought maybe it would make some of you laugh. That's despicable. And we have to be better, and that's what I'm trying to do. So she wants everyone to know that she is no longer the child that she's remembered by some fans. The reality star turned 16 years old on Saturday, and ahead of the milestone birthday, opens up to Teen Vogue about the difficulties of growing up in the spotlight. She says, "My mama did not name me Honey Boo Boo. My name is Alana." Well, good for you. Getting a little bit of independence there. Shed that. Be your own gal. Good for her, she stresses. They are completely two different people. I would say that I do like this Alana now, rather than the younger Alana. man, okay, so that's a good quote there for Teen Vogue. This little girl, she's standing up for herself. I mean, I imagine a 16-year-old Honey Boo Boo has a lot of opinions, though. I mean, she's been empowered since she was 6 years old. She was the cash cow. She was, you don't put the cash cow and you don't put the cash cow in timeout. And they created that monster. Let's see. Alana goes to public school, has a boyfriend, works on weekends and after school, and wants to be a neonatal nurse. One thing that hasn't changed is that she has no issue letting others know how she feels. Well, okay. So she doesn't have aspirations to be the next, I don't know, Pam Anderson or Meryl Streep. Maybe that's good. Maybe she has some idea of who she is, and that's not for her. She's working a job, which is good because, I think a lot of people would think, oh, they got millions of dollars. That kid's probably just laying around on a feather-filled beanbag chair, eating bonbons and watching TV. No, it sounds like, she's got a job. That's always good for a kid. That's a little bit of discipline. She goes to public school. What does public school got to be like for her? I mean, I know what public school's got to be like for her, because you would think, I wonder if she gets picked on. No, she's Honey Boo Boo. These are a bunch of kids in high school. She's the famous one. There's going to be some outliers who are going to, like in prison, your first day in prison, you got to take out the baddest guy just so that you can go on and live in some semblance of peace. There's going to be some people, I'm sure, that are mean to her, some contrarians, but I bet you for the most part that Alana Thompson, aka Honey Boo Boo, don't call me Honey Boo Boo, I bet she's a bit of maybe even a bit of a mean girl. Maybe that level of high school personality is certainly available to her, being a celebrity and all. She's got a boyfriend. That's good for her. I hope that her boyfriend is, legit and doesn't just want to be dating the girl from Honey Boo Boo. She goes to public schools. I'm somebody that speaks my mind, whether you like it or not, she says. If I don't feel comfortable doing something, I'm going to tell you. Ooh. Oh, and I'm looking at a picture of her. She's, let's see, let me look at the whole picture. She's a little 15-year-old girl. She's a little 15-year-old girl. And it's a picture for Teen Vogue. So, I'm not going to have any problem with the fact that she's, got the makeup and the hair and all that, because it's Teen Vogue. I mean, she's not just a regular teen. She's a teen that's on Teen Vogue. She is fine, She's still a little heavy, but, she's 15 years old. I know plenty of girls who were heavy in their teen years who got themselves healthy and started to have a better body image. Honey Boo Boo says she also doesn't let social media criticism get to her. I guess people still expect me to be the little Honey Boo Boo, and I'm not anymore, she notes. Just because I'm from the South, people expect me to be all country bumpkin. Look at me falling into her trap. Look at me. I'm doing the whole country bumpkin thing, talking about her not just being a country bumpkin. All right, I'm sorry, Alana. I won't do that. I'll give you some respect here. But imagine oh my God, the trolls are awful to me on social media. Imagine what they're like to Honey Boo Boo. She's just a kid. And I can't imagine that there are many trolls out there going, all right, wait, time out. This is a child, right? I'm a 50-year-old, bitter, angry, thrice divorced man living in an economy apartment, and I'm online at 2:00 in the morning taking shots at a 15-year-old. Is this right? No, I honestly don't think they do that. I think that she probably gets brutalized, and it's best for her to not be on social media. I guess people still expect me to be the little Honey Boo Boo, and I'm not anymore. Just because I'm from the South, people expect me to be all country bumpkin, out here riding four-wheelers all the time. But that's not really how it is. Riding four-wheelers some of the time, we can all make time for a little four-wheeling. There's nothing wrong with that. But that's not really how it is. There are so many folks on my Instagram that do not like my nails or my eyelashes, but I do not care as long as I like myself. I'm good. Is it possible that in real time, right before everyone's eyes, I'm becoming an Alana Thompson, don't call me Honey Boo Boo fan? This sounds like a really well-adjusted girl. Now, of course, we have to weigh that with, was she fed these lines? She didn't just get Teen Vogue on her own. She has representation. She's got some sort of publicist. So I don't know. Alana has definitely dealt with body shaming and says Gen Z isn't as accepting of different types of bodies as some might think. Well, they're far more accepting than Gen X. They're far more accepting than baby boomers. Just your reality may not be perfection, but man, it certainly is better than it used to be. I feel like my generation, Gen Z, I guess that should be. I feel like my generation is probably making it worse. Everybody's all about body positivity until they see a body they don't like, she explains. Well, okay. Look, whatever. She's a kid. I don't really need to pick apart every little thing. I don't understand why people think this way. Just because I got a little bit of extra meat on my bones, you want to hate me? I'll never get body shaming. Yeah, as someone who has spent his life at various points, heavy, chubby, chunky, heavy, really heavy, chubby, chunky. I've never been thin. And I'm a guy and I have pretty thick skin, even though internally I'm a mess. Just underneath that thick skin, I'm super soft. There is a type. If you can permeate my thick skin and you can get to me, you can wreck me. So don't try. I know I'm beautiful and I know I got a banging body. So I don't care, she continues. Well, okay. You're 15 years old. You don't need to be talking about a banging body. And now we've got some pictures of her, some of her Instagram photos. Not a fan of her fashion. Don't find it to be particularly contemporary. It looks a little bit old school, maybe. As for her social life, Alana says her boyfriend is her only friend. Oh. Well, that doesn't support my theory that she was probably a popular kid because she's famous. I don't like that. Let's see here. To be honest, I don't have any friends at all, she admits, because I feel like folks are so much like, oh my God, I'm friends with Honey Boo Boo. I don't trust nobody, really. So I don't have friends. Okay, so that does speak to what I said. So she wants authentic friends. She just doesn't want a running pack that's with her because she's Honey Boo Boo, which is probably what she could have. Alana is blunt about being on reality TV for money, but notes that it won't last forever, which is why she works hard at school and wants to be a nurse. I want to have a life, I want to be able to support my kids when I do have kids and stuff like that, she says. It's definitely something that is good for the time being. All right. Well, she just goes on. She does have a little boyfriend who comes over and stuff. He comes over for dinners and stuff. He's very respectful, Lauren told Entertainment Tonight. Everyone approves of him. Mama June also noted to Entertainment Tonight that after cameras following their family around for a decade, their time may be coming to an end soon. Well, I honestly thought your time had come to an end about 5 years ago, maybe. I didn't realize that they were still a thing until suddenly all of the timelines on trending topics across all platforms have some story about Honey Boo Boo or Mama June or something like that. Oh, by the way, the other story that's trending. Let me see if I can pull this up. All right, so that's enough with Honey. She's a kid. We should absolutely have no hot takes aimed at a 15-year-old kid ever. Okay. Can we just make sure that happens? All right, this is the story now. So Honey Boo Boo is trending at 3. Honey Boo Boo's mom is trending at 11 here. And let's see what this one is about. June Shannon, right? That's Mama June. Again, I never watched the show, so I really don't know. Boop, boop. Oh, so I'm sorry. I can't find the story here, but I read it earlier because although it seems like I'm just kind of flying off the cuff here. The story with June is that, and it's not really a story at all. It's just, pap. It's just fluff, just stuff that's out there. People are outraged because that's what we do. People are outraged that Mama June, who is 42 years old, has a 20-year-old boyfriend. You should see this guy. Oh, he's not just a 20-year-old boyfriend. He's a 20-year-old YouTube influencer. And he's dating Mama June. And by the way, if you know Mama June, you can picture her. It's not the same thing as Honey Boo Boo, where Honey Boo Boo changed because she grew up. Yeah, Mama June's pretty much the same. Mama June looks the same. She's just she's doing a bit of a Tammy Faye Baker kind of thing, though. And maybe she always did that, but it's we just go with your beautiful self, lady. You don't need all that war paint. And, you just be you. You're Mama June. Any any negative feelings that people are going to have for you have been created out of your own actions on television. So please. But the story is that people are outraged that Mama June is dating a 20-year-old YouTube influencer. I don't have his name. Why do we even need his name? I'm not going to say his name, mainly because I got to imagine that the 20-year-old YouTube influencer is only with Mama June because Mama June is way more famous than he is. I mean, we're not talking about him. We're talking about Mama June's boyfriend, not this influencer's older woman girlfriend. It's so obvious. It's just, I read the story and I saved it somewhere, but it's gone. So they've been dating for a while now. And Mama June has all of these quotes about how I don't care what people say, we're in love, or whatever it is. And there were some notes that I found interesting. Critics of the coupling are saying that one of the problems that they have is that the Mama June is spending lavishly, spending lavishly on this 20-year-old YouTuber, who don't we all just assume that 20-year-old YouTubers who are designated influencers with some sort, don't we all think that they have a garage full of Ferraris? I've seen, my kid watches these YouTube influencers on YouTube and everything. Every time I walk by, he's like, Dad, look what they're doing in their living room. And I'm like, whoa, that's their living room? Yeah, like 5 guys live there. And it's like a 10,000 square foot gigantic mansion in the suburbs somewhere. And, they've set up a basketball court in the living room. Dad, isn't that cool? No, son, it's not cool at all. The 20-year-olds in media have struck that kind of gold, and I've been doing it for 20 years. No, it's not cold. It's not cool at all, son. But, hey, never begrudge a man an ability to gain a dollar, right? So, but she's spending lavishly on this guy. Apparently, she has rented a house for him around the corner. Now, assuming that it's legit, the Honey Boo Boo stuff that we've seen, they don't live in a neighborhood where it would be very difficult to rent a house around the corner. So I don't know about, spending gratuitously amounts of money on this obviously suspect relationship. And also, she bought him 2 cars. Mama June rented a house for this 20-year-old influencer boyfriend and rented him 2 cars. What? Or not rented, bought him 2 cars. How cool is that? Until you find out what the cars were. They were 2 used cars. One was like a 2010 Altima, and the other one was it was 2 cars, not because she just said, you're my man, and my man should not be seen in the same car. It wasn't one of those deals, one of those like rich people deals. It was more, here, have yourself a 2010 Altima with 120,000 miles on it. I love you. I'm going to spend opulently on you. And then he comes back like a couple of days later. The engine blew. And so she bought him another one, like this one I think was a 2014 Cavalier or something, Monte Carlo, something like that. Oh my God, do they even make Monte Carlos anymore? I don't think they do. I'm old. That was a car that old people used to drive. All right, so that's why she's trending. The other fun fact that I thought, the little note in the story about Mama June dating the 20-year-old YouTube influencer that some people in her orbit have some concerns about. The other thing that I found interesting was Mama June made some quote, and I don't have it pulled up, so I'm not going to do it exactly. But Mama June says something like, my man doesn't like me talking publicly about our relationship like this, but I don't care. When you're in love, or something like that. And then it was like a YouTube influencer would not comment for this story. It's of course not. He doesn't want to. He's not really in this for the reasons you think, June. He's in it for the sweet 2010 Altima with 120,000 miles on it. He's in it for the trailer you rented around the corner. That's what he's in. I mean, it's just such a silly story. It's But everything about these people is just a little bit silly, I think. All right, so let's move on. Here's something else that's trending that went down last night. University of Nebraska. Did you see this? Well, let me pull this story up here. University of Nebraska in Lincoln had an issue last night where hundreds of protesters converged on a U of N Lincoln fraternity house Tuesday night after reports surfaced of an alleged sexual assault at the house. The crowd organized outside the Phi Gamma Delta house at 1425. Does that really matter? They met at 10 o'clock last night on Tuesday, chanting at the men inside, one of whom is alleged to have had sexually assaulted a student sometime Monday night. University of Nebraska Lincoln Police Chief Hassan Ramza. Oh, that's a colorful name for Police Chief of Lincoln, Nebraska. Hassan Ramza. That's American. That's flyover diversity right there. Chief Ramza said the alleged assault is under investigation and the department is looking at, Pugs, that's just, that's typical liberal Lincoln, Nebraska, lefty Lincoln, Nebraska. He said that the police department is looking into it. They're looking at a variety of different factors based on what was reported. The alleged assault was reported to campus police at 3:47 a.m. Tuesday. So that's early in the morning on Tuesday. And then later that night, the house was surrounded by a mob demanding justice. Around 18 hours later, a wave of University of Nebraska students flooded the blocks in front of the Nebraska Union and largely remained there for more than 2 hours, holding signs and shouting chants and expletives as officers from the university's department and Lincoln police themselves, campus police and local Lincoln police, looked on. Largely unmasked demonstrators. All right, what are you trying to do? Let's talk about one story at a time here. You're writing this largely unmasked. Was that necessary? Demonstrators shamed and made demands of the fraternity, often in rhythmic call and response fashion. Kick him out. Kick him out, they chanted, referring to the UNL student accused of the sexual assault, whom the crowd later identified by name, which we're not going to do here. Good, because the Journal Star that I'm reading this from isn't going to do it either. 20 to life, 20 to life, 20 to life, 20 to life. No means no. No means no. We believe women. We believe women. Then, this going on outside your frat house. Those students are trying to study. They have class in the morning, people. Right. You wouldn't want to be rowdy and unruly in the front of a frat house at 10 o'clock at night on a Tuesday. First gathering, this is the mob. They gathered on the steps of the student union. Police intervened only when some demonstrators hopped a thigh-high stone wall and stood on the fraternity's front lawn. This is where UNL police officers told protesters they were now trespassing. Ramza, again, chief of police, said the department's goal was ensuring students had a safe environment to express their right to protest. One demonstrator had contact with the police after he entered the fraternity house's lawn and tried to take someone's bullhorn. One demonstrator. Okay, so Ramza said, though the police chief wasn't sure if the man was actually detained or if he was just escorted away from the crowd. All right, so we get what happened. We don't have to read the whole story. Something happened because we believe women, or something didn't happen because we have open minds and we wait for all the facts before we demand. Mob justice is a thing now. That is not how we do stuff here. Yes, the law is jacked and justice is sometimes questionable in the outcome. But there is no alternative that is better. And it is certainly not going to be mob justice. This is the old West, right? Did they have nooses? Were they ready? Some idiot heard about this story, had very little information about it, and then went and made a noose and dragged it on down there and I heard something bad happened. I'm not entirely sure what the name is. I think it's probably that guy. Get him! That's not how we do things. And I know that college campuses have always been a little bit nuts. There's always been, but in the past, all of the nuttiness on college campuses were usually about bigger issues. They weren't about individual charges filed or police reports made out concerning one person before all of and the We Believe Women thing. That's not an across the board deal, man. You've got to open your mind. What we don't do is, before all the facts, try and denigrate the woman. That we don't do that. But we also don't out someone before we have all of the facts. And what would have happened here? I mean, wouldn't this be interesting? Boy, this would be a Steve McQueen move, huh? Imagine if the guy in question, when all of these people were out in front of the, we 20 to life, we believe women. What if the guy in question, what if he came out on his porch and just walked into the crowd? Just put his arms out like Jesus and just walked into the crowd of people who probably believe they're doing the right thing. He'd have been torn apart. There'd have been grotesque, vulgar displays of human imperfection as far as the eye could see. They would rip him, these monsters, these people, and then what happens? Another crowd gathers around the bigger crowd going, you can't tear people limb from limb. You can't tear people. I mean, what is happening here? There's an investigation going on. We'll find out what happened. I'm reminded of the I'm gonna throw something out to you, something way back when. Do you remember the Duke lacrosse team? Remember how quick we all were to just destroy those kids? And I remember it. I was probably somebody who jumped the gun on that because I was an idiot shock talker back then. But the dust has settled, and there was a lot more to that story than we all reacted to. If you're unfamiliar with it, a Duke lacrosse team back in the early aughts, they threw a party, and like frat boy athletes in college, they pooled their money together in a hat, and they went and they got a couple of strippers, and some stuff went crazy, and the strippers, dancers, exotic entertainers, whatever they were. I mean, I don't know that they were escorts or prostitutes or anything like that. I don't know. But something went haywire, and all of a sudden, all of these Duke lacrosse players were gang rapists and, just the worst, most despicable. They're despicable because they go to Duke. The kind of people that go to Duke. All right, you're either really smart and on scholarship, or a really good athlete and on scholarship, or you're just an awful rich kid. You're just a terrible rich kid. That's what Duke is. So, and honestly, lacrosse is a cool sport, man. But, and it's become more mainstream in the last couple of years. For instance, my high school that I went to has a lacrosse team. I would have never imagined a lacrosse team. In high school, I wanted a male volleyball team. I thought Karch Karai. I thought that would have been cool. But no, lacrosse is now a legit sport. Certainly in the Midwest, it didn't exist before, but it seems to be big there. And it's a cool sport. And there's a lot of tremendous young athletes that are participating in this. And so I don't mean to denigrate the entire sport of lacrosse. But back in 2003, 2004, whenever this took place, if you were playing lacrosse at Duke, I'm going to go out on a limb and say that you've probably been an asshole to people in high school. I'm going to say that you've probably not been the kindest person. And I could be wrong. Sweeping judgments are never something that we should engage in. But I'm just, I've lived a life, and and also I can say that I've seen in the years since some of the players who were accused, and they were wrongly accused, and we should all be apologetic for it. But some of them are assholes. Some of them are really kind of smug. You know what I mean? Like, you're like, oh, okay, well, that's a terrible thing that happened to him, but I don't like that guy. That's not a good guy. So this is troubling. These sorts of things are upsetting. We have to wait to see how this plays out. We'll find out what. No, we won't. This is the other thing that we do that's killing us here. We react to a story the first day it comes out, and then we have no interest in whatever the updates are. 6 months from now, when this turns out to have been just, whatever it turns out to be, we're not going to be interested in that, because it was our Our inability to calm ourselves after receiving news that gins us up and just take to the streets and want blood for it. That's the problem here. That's what I'm most concerned about. So okay, so let's hope that all works out for everybody involved. Let's see here. What else do I want to talk about? Oh yeah. Hey, this is a good one. This is an interesting one. OnlyFans, which is something that I don't know what the hell OnlyFans is. I really don't. I mean, I know. I thought OnlyFans was just porn. I thought it was just like if you wanted to pay $50, you could masturbate with a porn star on camera. You know, I don't know. I mean, it's not something that I'd ever be interested in. I'm too self-conscious. I like them being on a video. If I'm going to utilize that sort of thing in my life, it's got to be a video. I don't want them looking back at me. That's too weird because I'm Catholic and filled with shame anyway, so I don't need to be interacting with someone while that's going down. But the big story a week ago or so was that OnlyFans had decided that they were going to radically change their business model and eliminate all of the adults only type content, which again, I thought that's all it was. I thought that's all only what is OnlyFans? If there is anyone in the chat room that can just kind of sum up quickly, other than porn, what is OnlyFans? Is it like Cameo? You know, I know what Cameo is. Cameo is that thing where you sign up and then you get $5 for wishing some stranger in the middle of nowhere happy birthday. I mean, I get that. I think that's an interesting thing, but I don't know what OnlyFans is. Jameson in the chat room there. And by the way, you can join us in all of the chat rooms. You can, there's a YouTube room. There is a Facebook room. There's more coming. As I get more comfortable with this endeavor, I'm going to be able to rattle these things off. But as it is right now, I'm a little bit, sketch on them. I'm just trying to make my way through this. But yes, if somebody in the chat room can help me out on this and tell me maybe, okay, so Jameson says it's kind of like Cameo for rappers. I don't know what I don't. So, I mean, I guess I'm an old man. When you say rappers, I say Snoop Dogg. I have no idea. My kid is into this. One of the things that I'm really proud of about my kid is that my kid's really into music. He really loves music, and he's smart about music. Like I worked very hard to give him the bass when he was a baby. You know, his first favorite song was Baba O'Reilly by the Who. You know, and then his second favorite song was Ring of Fire by Johnny Cash. I mean, my little kid, I definitely brainwashed him into having an appreciation for stuff that isn't necessarily just things that were created in his time. And now he's showing that. He likes this mumble rap. Or no, I'm sorry. Oh boy. I don't want to misrepresent that. He hates this mumble rap. That's what it is. He's got hot takes about what's happening with rap. He's only 12 years old. All right, I'm going to stop bragging on my kid. But so OnlyFans is where you can talk to rappers. And I would imagine other people, right? Is that it is mostly porn. Thank you. That's what I said. Cardi B, DJ Khaled, Chris Brown, Tyga. So how does it work? Do you pay a monthly fee and then what? You can have breakfast every morning with I don't understand how that could work. But at any rate, they were most famous in my mind's eye for being a site where porn stars were. And you could talk to a porn star, I guess, right, on live camera, however that works. Not entirely certain. And last week, they decided that they were going to eliminate all of their porn, all of their adult content, all of that stuff. And all I could think of was, so they're folding up shop, they're going out of business. But apparently they had another revenue stream with, rappers and all of that stuff. So here's a statement today from OnlyFans and why OnlyFans is trending and being talked about today. OnlyFans announced on Wednesday that it's suspending its plan to ban sexually explicit content on the platform. This decision comes after the company received backlash following the news of a ban on August 19th. Founder of OnlyFans, Tim Stokely, boy, I bet he's rich. I bet he's rich. In this day and age, if you create something that everybody knows about, you're filthy, ridiculously rich. Founder Tim Stokely initially, and you go from like nothing to everything. Founder Tim Stokely initially said the change was in response to obstacles from banks. I wonder what those could be. I mean, why would banks have problems with porn? I had a very dear, close, beloved friend who worked in porn, not as a performer, but as a producer, as the guy who put money in these companies and all of that. And he was a straight up legit businessman. I mean, he wasn't like sketchy, dealing drugs and, running arms and stuff like that on the side. I mean, he was a legit entrepreneur with a number of different successful businesses. And one of the the whole reason that the porn industry exploded when it did, I mean, it was always, sketchy until probably around 1990, late 90s, 2000s, whatever, when it became a little bit more acceptable and not acceptable, but omnipresent, something that we weren't shocked by because it was everywhere. And these things, the industry of pornography grew because at some point legitimate businessmen with money to invest in things said, people like to masturbate. They sure do. And that's the extent of my involvement in porn, but I know people like to masturbate. So here, take all of this money and you double it and you bring it back. I mean, that's just business. And they've been doing that for a while. So I don't understand what the issue with banks would have been. So let's continue. Let's read what OnlyFans has to say here. I know I thought that I had. I'm sorry, folks. Just give me a moment. Okay. OnlyFans has dropped plans to ban pornography from its service less than a week after the UK content creator subscription site had announced the change, citing the need to comply with policies of banking partners. OnlyFans was a UK-based thing. I didn't know that. I just assumed that we here in America invent everything except TikTok, because apparently that's Chinese. On Wednesday, the company said it secured assurances necessary to support our diverse creator community, suggesting that it has new agreements with banks to pay OnlyFans content creators, including those who share sexually explicit material. Was it that they had to pay so many people creating sexually explicit material that they couldn't pay everyone else? So they decided to just get rid of that aspect of their business model so that they would be able to only employ, or however this works. I don't understand that. It seems to me that the obvious draw to OnlyFans would have been that stuff in the first place, but okay. Thank you to everyone for making your voices heard. We've secured assurances necessary to support our diverse creator community and have suspended the planned October 1st policy change, the company said in a tweet. OnlyFans stands for inclusion, and we will continue to provide a home for all creators, the company said. An OnlyFans spokesperson declined to say which bank or banks it has new or renewed payment processing agreements with. The proposed October 1st, 2021 changes are no longer required due to banking partners' assurances. And all that. So I got to believe that, and, as I said, I was talking about, how legitimate businessmen with money to invest understood that people are going to masturbate. And so they put money, legitimate businessmen put money into the porn industry, the adult film industry, which also is a legitimate business. I mean, anything that, your problems with it are moral. It's a morality issue. Maybe even to some people an exploitation issue, but I don't know how it would be exploitation if the person is doing it willingly and being rewarded wonderfully for it. But okay, I've heard the argument. Here's probably what happened. This was probably a play, I think, from the beginning. They had to know. They're obviously smart people. The OnlyFans people, they're obviously smart, creative people. So this could have all been a publicity stunt. I mean, look at me sitting here again on my leather chair in the guest house in Highland Park talking about this story. It's something that I know very little about because I'm not an OnlyFans guy. But now here I'm talking about it. You're hearing about it. Maybe it's for the first time. Maybe it's not. But what I'm saying is you announce a radical change to something that is the cornerstone of your revenue streams. And, the world goes crazy about it. Hey, look at that. And then you sit back. You sit back and you just enjoy that everybody's talking about you for a while. And then you rally back 1 week later or so and you go, yeah, we fixed it, man. We're coming back. Thank you. You have been heard. You, the great unwashed, you have been heard. You are important to us. So we're just going to go back. I don't know. I think maybe they got more money. I think some super wealthy pervs out there probably contacted OnlyFans and said, is this a money problem? Because seriously, this has been the worst news that I have heard in a very long time. I'm willing to write you a check right now. I need to have my access to Riley Reid. And I can't. How much is it going to take? You need 50 million? I can give you 50 million. Here, I'll send the check to you right now. You Venmo? Can I Venmo 50 million? Phone rings again. I can't believe you guys are doing this. I'm an incredibly wealthy and very sexually curious individual. I've got a checkbook right here. And that's probably what happened. They just probably got a whole bunch of people with a whole lot of money who went, there's money to be made in OnlyFans porn, who are now invested in the company. And maybe that changed a certain bank's line of thought or who knows what it is. But that's why OnlyFans is trending right now, because OnlyFans is back in the porn game, baby. Back in the porn game. All right, let's go back and check out what else is happening. We'll refresh the trends just to make sure that we're on top of everything. What is this? Speaking of porn, all right, why not stay on theme, right? Kenna James. Anybody know Kenna James? Oh, there she is. Oh, look at you. Aren't you cute? Aren't you just the girl next door? What? Kenna James is apparently a porn star, and she freaked a lot of people out in Vegas. Apparently, she went to a bowling alley in Vegas and started bowling topless. Look, I'm all for self-promotion, and I'm not a prude. A girl wants to go topless. I also have an ability to control myself. A girl wants to walk around topless. That's not going to turn me into a barbarian. It's not. I've seen boobs. I'm familiar with boobs. Been married twice. I had boobs laying next to me at certain points in my life many times. Some are nice. Some are not as nice. But boobs for the most part, in my book, whatever you got going on, you're fine. So apparently, a porn star left fans in awe, and that's the whole point, folks. So she didn't just do this because she was being silly. There's always a plan. A porn star left fans in awe as she rocked a risky look while at a bowling alley. Kenna James has over 500,000 followers on Instagram. Is that good for a porn star? Is she... Admittedly, I'm not as up on porn stars as maybe at one point I was. In the last OnlyFans conversation on the fly, I was literally struggling to come up with a porn star, and I just threw out Riley Reid because she's, I guess, the biggest one out right now, maybe. Kenna James has, what would Riley Reid have on Instagram? If Kenna James had, that's how I would have to, because I don't know who Kenna James is. So I would have to sort of do it that way. I'd have to figure out. So if Riley Reid has 50 million Instagram followers and Kenna James has 500,000, that would explain a lot to me. Where she shares some of her sexiest snaps. That's on her Instagram feed. The beauty from Missouri and Indiana. Talked about red flags. That's porn country. That is porn. But also, let's not kid ourselves. Right here, Texas, this is porn country. This is porn. Texas, Oklahoma, Missouri, Indiana, Florida. Those states have really done the heavy lifting in producing the top level of porn star over the past 20 years. Those are the states. Those are the go-to states. She's from Missouri and Indiana. She has graced the cover of 15 magazines over the years. Well, how many years? 15 is impressive. It's, the last 2 years or something. But not only does she work as a porn star, the actress creates content for her fans and loves playing video games. As she clearly has a fun side, Kenna recently left fans speechless when she took a snap at a bowling alley. The X-rated star appeared barefoot as she went completely topless for the photo. All right, so I'm looking at this photo now. Why does everything have to be clickbait? Why does everything have to be? She's not topless. She's her. I mean, what constitutes topless, right? I mean, here, I'll show it to you. Okay, is this topless? Here, let me put this up for you. See that? Is that topless? Her nipples are covered. I mean, you can have 99% of your boob covered, but if that 1% is still covered, I don't consider that top, and it's the important 1%, or maybe it would be 2%, but whatever. So you can have 98% of your boob covered, but if those are uncovered, but if that 2%, one here and one here, like I don't have boobs, like I'm not. Hey, one here, 98%, 1% covered, 2% covered. That's not topless, right? That's just a really skimpy bikini. And yet here we go. So on that note, I'm getting out of this. I don't care about that. See, I got fished in. She is cute though. Oh my God, she's a cutie. Look, cutie. Look at me infantilizing a grown woman who's a porn star. All right, I'll stop that now. Let's see. Not a whole lot really going on, unless something big happened while I've been on the air here, because unfortunately I can't be as up on the breaking news and all of that good stuff when I'm on the air. But chat room, anything? Burlesque. That's very good. Someone in the chat room suggested that we've stumbled onto a whole new thing. It's burlesque and bowling. It's burlesque. I like that. All right. The governor of Hawaii is trending at number 3 now as I refresh the page. The governor of Hawaii is saying that now is not the time to visit Hawaii. That's interesting. That's very interesting. That'd be like Coca-Cola saying, now is not the time for a Coke. Now is not the time for a Miller Lite. That's because that's their business. That is tourism is Hawaii's big thing. Got to imagine this has to do with the pandemic. And that seems like a self-sacrificial announcement by the governor of Hawaii. The governor, I'm sure that after the governor of Hawaii went out and said, now is not the time for people to visit us, his phone immediately started ringing. All of the presidents of the airlines started calling him. All of the presidents of the hotels started calling him. So that is a story. When the governor says, don't do business in our state for a while. Let's pause this. Sony Michel, running back for the Patriots. Apparently that's why he's trending. He's no longer a running back for the Patriots. He looks like he's here with the Rams now. I think that's what that is. India versus England is trending at number 5. This is a Lawrence of Arabia thing. Is that a little, what is that? Oh, it's got to be a soccer game, right? Or something. Football is life. Number 6, here's one that I saw earlier trending. It was trending higher, but apparently the interest in the story is dropping rapidly. Max Kellerman. Are you familiar with Max Kellerman? See, I know Max Kellerman because I'm a fight fan. I like MMA and I like boxing. Well, I don't love boxing, but I've become a bigger fan of boxing in the last couple of years. Don't ask me why. But I have. Max Kellerman is a tremendous boxing analyst, and that's always the way that I've known him. But then ESPN put him on opposite Stephen A. Jones. Stephen. You know the guy I'm talking about. The guy that gets upset about absolutely everything. The guy who is about as disingenuous as anyone I have ever seen on television. What is his name? Steve. See, this is the problem with me. I'm 50 years old now, and I'm starting to. I suppose I could just click on it. But Max Kellerman. Oh, Stephen A. Smith. Of course. Yeah, that's who it is. Max Kellerman is trending today because apparently he's leaving the First Take show. Let's see here. Oh, boy. I just hit that wrong. All right, so Max Kellerman is leaving just do it from memory. Max Kellerman is leaving his show that he shares with Stephen A. Smith. It's one of those morning sports shows where I hate these shows. I really do. I mean, there was a time when I liked them, but now there's just too much of it. Nobody is sincere in any of these shows. If the entire premise of the show is one guy's going to have this opinion and the other guy's going to have this opinion, and the draw is going to be you're going to watch them fight. I mean, that's lowest common denominator bullshit. I mean, it's fun sometimes, but at this point, since everybody is doing it and the whole world is looking to be their own little Max Kellerman and Stephen A. Smith, it's just so tired. So he's leaving that show. Again, a show where they're not allowed to agree. Like, if there are things that they agree on, the producer goes, "Oh, no, man, you're going to need to drum up some kind of take that's going to be different than that. Hey, okay, so you both agree on the same thing. Let's flip a coin to see which one of you guys gets to be genuine in this segment." Everything is a work. Everything is kayfabe. Everything is, oh, boy. Okay, so Max Kellerman is leaving First Take. Not sure who he's being replaced with, but this was interesting to me. He's leaving First Take to join Keyshawn and Jay Williams on their talk show. They do a morning talk show in L.A., and it's called something like something Keyshawn and Jay Will, but whatever it is. I've seen the clips. And what strikes me most is that I kind of like them. I think I always get very upset when pro athletes move into the broadcast booth and are good. You know, that's one of those things like, oh man, why did God like this person so much? Why did God make Keyshawn Johnson one of the most deadly wide receivers of his era, one of the most provocative and interesting individuals in NFL history? And I mean, there's an entire term in the NFL called being Keyshawned. It's because of Keyshawn Johnson. And after all of that is over, we're gonna give him a radio career where he's gonna be a broadcaster. And you know what? Just for shits and giggles, he's gonna be good. He's gonna be good. They're good. That's not a terrible sports show. And I'm very critical of sports shows, and I don't think that's a terrible show. It was Zubon, Keyshawn, and Jay Will, I think is what they were calling it. Zubon is out. Max Kellerman is in. Max Kellerman is leaving First Take on ESPN, and he's going to be joining Jay Williams and Keyshawn Johnson. Let's see here. Let's see what else we got. Mandy Patinkin. Mandy Patinkin is trending. You know who he is? If you watch Homeland, he plays Saul on Homeland, and also Princess Bride. He played, what was his, Montoya was his last name, but what was his first name? Enigro Montoya or something like that. I don't know. He's trending because it says here, Mandy Patinkin tearfully explains the Princess Bride. ... All right, well, but that's a great movie. That's a great movie. I have a list of films that I'm going to, and that I have been over the course of the past, when do you start forcing culture on your children? 6, 7, 8, something like that. So I've got a list of films that I demand that my son watch with me, even if I don't particularly want to watch them. I just feel that these are things that he needs to have in his lexicon. He needs to be able to be familiar with certain things. It's not time yet for Goodfellas, although we tried. We tried Goodfellas. I don't know what I was thinking. He was like 11 years old, and I'm like, can you handle Goodfellas? And he's like, what's Goodfellas? All right, let's go. Come on, in the TV room. Let's go. We're going to pull up Goodfellas. So there have been a couple of choices that I've made, but really, most of them we watch things like, he's familiar with Rocky, the original Rocky. We haven't delved into the sequels. Rudy, because we're Irish and I'm a Notre Dame freak, and I've successfully turned my 12-year-old son into a Notre Dame freak too, and I'm very proud of that. I've done my job, part of my job. I wanted him to be a Notre Dame fan, a Bear fan, and I wanted him to hate the Cubs. I didn't even care if he loved the White Sox. I just wanted him to hate the Cubs. And I successfully have done that with my 12-year-old son, who, just as a little bit of a bonus, he loves the White Sox. Rudy Giuliani. Rudy Giuliani is trending now here. Let's see, what did he do today? Everyone is disgusted by a nasty video of Rudy Giuliani shaving. Well, yeah, okay. I can understand that. Boy, is that an interesting guy? I mean, when the whole history of his body of work is compiled, that'll be an interesting read, because full disclosure, I think he's kind of a fool. I mean, he's just been so undignified in so many ways. And I don't believe that he is truly an undignified man. I think that he just saw the lay of the land and realized that being undignified was not a deal breaker for the people he was trying to reach. So he just leaned hard into it. I mean, this was America's mayor, right? I mean, this was a guy who, he's a prosecutor of the mob. He seemed like a good. I have seen, it's funny, in recent years, Rudy Giuliani has been depicted in a number of films over the years, played by actors, about whatever, taking down the mob in the 80s, or, the 9/11 situation and all that stuff. And he's always portrayed as just a good guy, decent, a competent man, a sincere man, a man that you could rely on. And then here we are in the last couple of years, and it's like, that's the same Rudy Giuliani? Oh my God. You wouldn't cast the same people to play Rudy Giuliani. If you were making a movie in 1997, 1998, and you had to cast somebody to play Rudy Giuliani, the mob-busting prosecutor, that wouldn't be the same guy that you might cast today. You go from like a Tom Hanks type back in the 90s to like, a sketchy Buscemi type, or, something like that. He's really had there's a curve, there's an arc, a curve, a dive, and a climb to everything that Rudy Giuliani has done here in the public arena. All right, another refresh here as we see what's happening. A lot of sports, all sports, video games, PS5. Another Walmart PS5 and Xbox Series X restock is happening tonight. Oh my God. I've been trying to get an Xbox 5 for my kid for ever. Since they came out. I was months before they came out. I was on lists, and I got Google alerts for PlayStation 5, and they were just instantly sold. It's like they understood that the demand for this thing was going to be 100 million people were going to demand an Xbox 5 in the first 48 hours of its release. And so they purposely, they looked at that 100 million people and they said, okay, we're going to make 1 million. And that's it. And, and I apparently did not make the cut there, because I've been on the outside looking in at everything sold out everywhere all the time. Can't get one nowhere. And, I wasn't making a lot of money. You have expenses, but you want to, especially when you're estranged from your son, not estranged, boy, did that sound bad. But when you live a distance from your child, the time that you have together, you want to be special and memorable. So I really tried hard to come through on that one. I was dumb. I made promises. Oh, you're getting an Xbox 5. You're getting do you know that I know the guys from Rockstar Games? I'm always dropping shit like that to my kid, because I'm very insecure about the way he looks at me. Hey, let's go on YouTube. You want to watch old TV commercials from when people actually cared about your old man? No? Okay. All right. Stuff like that. So my failure to procure an Xbox 5 for my kid has been really difficult. And now we've moved on. Now we're at the point where we're waiting on the Xbox 6. We're gonna skip right over the Xbox 5. I'm gonna get in line right now for the Xbox 6, and hopefully I can make that happen for him. But they're restocking them, and apparently, Walmart's gonna have them again. So good. But I'm out. If I happen to stumble across an Xbox 5 and it becomes available for a reasonable price, I'll certainly get it for my kid. But yeah, there's none of this, and that's the other thing. Oh, You want an Xbox 5? Oh, well, they're sold out. You're never going to get one. But I got one. It's a $400 machine. $4,000. Give me $4,000 and you can have. No, I don't play that stupid game on something that's going to be updated in a year and I'm going to have to get the next one. No, I'm sorry. My kid's got an Xbox 4. He'll be fine with that. Maybe he's got a friend who's got an Xbox 5. He can go hang out. He can go make a fake friend just to play the Xbox, because isn't that what we did as kids? You know, the kid that had the Intellivision system in 1985 because you only had Atari. Right? But you wanted to play the cooler Intellivision, the more expensive rich kid Intellivision. That was the breakdown back then. Atari was entry level. Everybody could have an Atari, but then they started moving up, like the Intellivision and ColecoVision and all that stuff. So you made a friend with some weird kid that maybe smelled funny in class because you heard he had an Intellivision. You can go do that. There's nothing wrong with that. Hell, maybe you'll make a legitimate friend. Maybe somebody that you wouldn't have given a chance to can use the tool of his rich parents buying him an Intellivision or a PlayStation 5, and you're going to find out that maybe you actually do like that kid. So whatever. Life is life. So that's what's happening there. America's Got Talent. America's Got Talent is trending. I don't know why. Heidi Klum, Sofia Vergara. Do we really care about Heidi Klum, Sofia Vergara, and Howie Mandel? Two hots in a knot. That's the Wienermobile. Oh, this is interesting. You guys know what the Wienermobile is? That's the Oscar Mayer promotional vehicle that they created like back in the 1950s, and it used to roll around neighborhoods, and boomers get all nostalgic for the Wienermobile, and then it just completely disappeared between like 1970 and 2010, and then Oscar Mayer decided that they were going to roll that back out, and all the boomers were like, the Wienermobile, and everybody else was like, what? The hell you talk? What is a Wienermobile? That sounds like something the ice cream man would get arrested for. What is a Wienermobile? So a Wienermobile is this crazy vehicle that looks like a hot dog. It looks like a hot dog, and it's got its car. So it's a vehicle. Maybe like think of a parade float that looks like a hot dog. And I guess it drives around, and they're bringing it back. And this is actually kind of interesting. They've teamed up with Lyft. So if you want to ride in the Wienermobile, if you want the Wienermobile to pull you up to your big meeting, apparently you can do that. Lyft might be the Oscar Mayer Wienermobile. Your next Lyft might be the Oscar Mayer Wienermobile. Although, again, that's kind of interesting because the people who appreciate the sentimental connection they have to the Wienermobile are not the same people who use Lyft and Uber. If you remember and hold a place in your heart for fond childhood memories of the Wienermobile, you're still looking for a cab. You don't know about the app on your phone that has some dude will pull up in front of your house and take you wherever you want to go. So, little bit of an issue there with how they're going to employ that. What else do we have that everybody's talking about? This is we're coming up to the end of today's noon show. So let's jump back. Dare I take a look at what's happening on Twitter? We'll look and see what Twitter's doing. Twitter's trending topics are the absolute worst. They just, again, it's all K-pop, it's all wrestling, it's all in any sort of content that trends for people that aren't into video games or K-pop is all just divisive garbage. Eric Prince is trending. Eric Prince is he's was it Blackwater? Yeah, but yeah, Blackwater was a company that he started. It was a private army. Just that's it makes me uncomfortable. It's a private army. It's somebody said, what if Walmart had an army? I mean, it's like that kind of thing. It's a corporate entity that decided they're going to make their business by organizing mercenaries and sending them over to do things that legitimate governments just can't get away with. So that's who Eric Prince is. It says defense contractor and Blackwater founder Eric Prince is allegedly charging $6,500 per seat on a chartered plane for people seeking to flee Afghanistan. Now I see. Well, that's sort of in step with the kind of guy who would think, I want to start a company that kills people sketchily. That doesn't seem like somebody who's really moral. I want to build a company and make my money off of assassinating people who have different political ideologies. And that's basically what it was. So this, and I'm just going to go ahead and say it, this disgusting piece of human garbage has planes available to rescue people from the sudden changes occurring in Afghanistan, but only if they got the cash. Did this son of a bitch see those people falling off of wheels? Did this son of a bitch, is there no humanity left in some of these people? Getting angry. Oh, but if you could turn a dime, the rich people can get out. Screw, say, a little crying 4-year-old who just watched your dad fall, 2,000 feet from the wheel well of an airplane. Move aside. The rich guy with a check for $6,500 needs to get on board. The hell is wrong with us? All right, moving on. Also trending on Twitter, people are talking about John McCain. It's been 3 years since John McCain passed away. John McCain is one of the rare Republicans that conservatives, and he despite whatever the new definition of conservatism is, John McCain was a conservative and a Goldwater conservative. Look, I'm not going to bore you with that kind of stuff, but come on. John McCain was a conservative. That was his whole thing. But he was the only conservative that I actually would have voted for and would have campaigned for. And the first time against Obama, I was very much I was very open in that in that election. I very early on the air here in Dallas, I was everybody on my show was an Obama person, and I was a McCain guy. I was a McCain guy for a very long stretch of that. I jumped off being a McCain guy as soon as he grabbed Sarah Palin, because I saw her and went, "What? That's not that. You mean if he dies?" And so that made me very and so whatever the rest is history. But John McCain I've always found to be just a truly admirable man. And you want to talk about a patriot, you want to talk about a family filled with patriots. It wasn't just John McCain, it was his dad and his grandfather, and they go back. They've been leading American military forces in the battle for hundred years. The whole story about Vietnam, you don't have to go into that. Then there was the disaster on the aircraft carrier. I can't remember. See, again, I'm getting old, and some of these things that used to be right at the tip of my brain are gone. Forrestal, the Forrestal disaster. John McCain, to me, who was and always has been a left-leaning centrist, he was a good man, worthy of my attention. 3 years ago, he died. That's unfortunate. Let's see, what else is happening here? Oh, Delta Airlines. I like this one. Good. You know what? This was trending earlier, but I didn't really think that I wanted to get into it, but why not? We've got a couple of minutes left here in the show, so why not? Delta Airlines is raising health insurance premiums for unvaccinated employees by $200 a month. This to cover higher costs of COVID. It doesn't make me happy, that they're doing this. I'm not, but I do think that, these are the things that are going to begin to happen. As a civilized society, we all have to agree that this, again, goes back to the fall of the institutions that we all, set up this little great American experiment around. The institutions have all been, crumbled, and now people won't anymore subscribe to the tenets of a civilized society. So we've got a mess. So now people need to do things. And it looks like Delta Airlines, if you're an employee for Delta Airlines and you're covered under their healthcare system and you refuse to get the vaccination, they're now going to charge you more for health insurance. And I think the health insurance companies should do that across the board. if you're not giving your best effort to stay healthy during this international global crisis, then, somebody's got to pay for this stuff. And let's start with the people who aren't doing their part to get rid of this global crisis. So, I assume that this kind of thing was coming a long time ago. Let's see what else. Oh, I had this here. If I go further down, I saw this. Again, the real reality show kind of thing I've never been a big fan of, but the Real Housewives of Dallas is trending. It's been trending off and on for the last couple of days. I didn't even know that there was a Real Housewives of Dallas, but here I reside in the cradle of the 1%. I would think that if there were any characters in the Real Housewives of Dallas, they might be my neighbors here around here. I might see some I might see some reality TV lady jogging by the house every now and again. I don't know. I should check out the Real Housewives of Dallas. I didn't even know it was a thing, but it's not coming back. It's not going to be a thing anymore. Didn't even know that it was. And I wonder why, because of that whole thing. Like, you understand, what was the first one? The Real Housewives of what was it? Hollywood? I don't know what the first, Beverly Hills? Was it Real Housewives of Beverly? Because that seems like a natural. That would be interesting. What are the housewives of the rich and famous like? Because we know what the housewives of the non-rich and famous lives are like. But what is that? So that makes sense. And then there's a Real Housewives of New York. And that also makes sense because, you got the East Coast, you got the West Coast. Let's see what the Real Housewives of America's most important business magnates are like, or influencers, New York types. Let's see that. So that makes sense. And then they started getting into like weird areas. Like, I'll tell you one thing. I remember, I've only been familiar with these shows when I've been in relationships with women who like them. So, I remember watching one time there was a Real Housewives of Washington, D.C. It was a Real Housewives thing. That's not necessarily in my wheelhouse. So, but I was tangentially interested. There were certain aspects of it that I thought were good, but Dallas has always been one of the markets. I remember saying back in the day that, why isn't there a Real Housewives of Dallas? This is the place. This is where you wanna, that all the housewives in Dallas, especially the ones that would be in the area to be put on a TV show like that, rich people, the 1%ers, they're fantastic. You want to talk about wild personalities? There's nothing like an over aggressively entitled, fake-breasted Highland Park rich lady trophy wife. That's fun. I would watch that. But again, maybe it's just because I was here at the time and I was thinking, boy, these people would be interesting. But apparently they made the show, The Real Housewives of Dallas, and it was terrible. Apparently it just sucked. Apparently nobody watched it. Was anybody familiar with it? Let me see here. Oh man, I'm having trouble with the chat room again. I'm sorry, I can't see any of these. So there you go. If you were a fan of the Real Housewives of Dallas, that show is going away. Okay, so that's basically it. Unless we'll do another quick refresh to see if there's anything else going on today. So recapping the things that we've talked about, the big stories, and again, folks, these are the big non-divisive stories. These are the stories that we can have fun talking about, not the stuff that's going to make us have a knife fight in the parking lot after the show. The little baby, the cute little baby on the cover of the Nirvana Nevermind album, he has now decided he's going to sue everyone involved because he thinks it was child pornography. We covered that. Honey Boo Boo, we got into a whole bunch of that, a whole bunch of mess there. There was bloodlust and mob justice going down at the University of Nebraska-Lincoln last night. We talked about that. What else did we get into? Let me see. OnlyFans. OnlyFans is no longer going to go forth with their plan to ban all of the adult content that was on there. So we got that. And just a couple of things. Eric Prince is still a son of a bitch. He's charging people $6,500 to be safely evacuated out of Afghanistan, which is, if you take nothing else from this show today, that is a piece of shit move. That is despicable. How do you do that? Okay, so that's going to be about it for today's show. We do appreciate you all for checking in and hanging out. This is a work in progress. We're building this thing up. We do 2 shows daily, one show here at noon, another show later at night at 10 o'clock. The 10 o'clock show is usually going to be a little bit different. It's going to be a little bit lighter, a little bit less topic driven. Although I think in some way it'll be topic driven, but it won't necessarily be news oriented. It won't necessarily be current events driven. And more evergreen stuff, more, hey, did you ever notice this? Let's talk about that. It'll be a little bit more like that. And we'll try and fold in some guests. And maybe at that point, we'll be utilizing the abilities to do a couple of split screens so we can bring some people in, some guests. Maybe, God forbid, I can get a co-host. I don't know what I hope you're bearing with me. Doing the solo thing is certainly not easy. Just sitting here and I'm not patting myself on the back. I'm more treading water and begging for a life raft. So this is all new to me, and it really does mean a lot for all of you that are checking out. We're going to be here every day at noon, Monday through Friday, talking about all the things that are trending, and again back at night at 10 o'clock to just kind of do a wrap up. The programming note that we changed, and we didn't really change it because it's just the first week, but we were originally going to do the nighttime shows Monday through Friday as well. But we're going to do the nighttime shows, the 10 o'clock shows, Sunday nights through Thursday nights. And so my nights off will be Friday night and Saturday night. So let's party. Yeah. Except these days, my version of a party is, me and my kid eating pizza rolls, watching movies that are suspiciously maybe inappropriate for him at this age. But that's how we party in this house. Hey, son, are you interested in spending the weekend watching the Godfather trilogy with your old man? Hell no. Get in the room. We're watching the movie. Love you, folks. Also, if you want to sign up for any of the Facebook, the Twitter, the YouTube, the web, the way this grows is you tell people, you share it. It's undignified, I'm told, to suggest that people share things. Well, call me undignified, because this is how this particular medium is effective. So please, we're building on this. We love that you're here. And also remember, I'll be popping in if there's any big news that happens throughout the day. So you'll be getting those kinds of alerts on all the platforms as well. Something goes down at 4 o'clock, God forbid a plane crashes or whatever the hell that is, some big news. Whatever. We have another January 6th type situation unfold. It doesn't matter if it's noon or if it's 10 o'clock. I'm going to jump in probably before you know about it. So, keep that in your head, that if you see me popping on for something and you're like, oh, I wonder what he's popping, it's something that I have in my estimation decided was worthy of us talking about, and something that I believe everybody will be talking about in the next few hours. So that's what the medium allows us to do. And once again, I appreciate y'all so much. Thank you. Thank you so much for coming. And that's it. It's Pugs Moran live, the noonday topics edition. See you back here at 10, I hope.